So, let's talk about The Flying Ace.
Yeah, which for a movie called The Flying Ace
Not a lot of
is
flying.
not a lot of flying.
It is weirdly also kind of more railroad based than airplane based, but
Yeah. They must have just like I don't know what was going on with the name and the like poster of this movie, but they're trying to sell you like a kind of rollicking airplane adventure movie, but it's a bit more of like a
a,
detective movie.
it is, which I did not realize at all. It is also a distinctly a train detective movie.
Yeah.
It is about a railroad detective, which is a thing that was real in the 20s and is wild that there was enough specifically train crime that railroads need their own detectives. I'm reading the book Killers of the Flower Moon right now,
Ooh, nice.
which is very good. But there is one of the sort of like historical characters in that is Tom White, who is an FBI agent, and for a while he worked as a railroad detective because it was like an easy detective gig. Like, you know, it's mostly just like paperwork crimes and things. But it's just, I think it's funny in the olden times, like hotels had their own detectives. And these
How
were
many?
detectives. They weren't like security guards. You know what I mean? Like a
Right.
hotel detective was a profession.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's not even like something kind of came around to make the hotel detective obsolete. It's just like they were like, do we really need this?
Yeah, pretty much. That's funny. The Flying Ace is, I believe, the only surviving movie from Norman Studios.
So this movie is, as it's called, an all colored cast. It's all the people in the movie are played by black actors, and like other movies that were produced with black actors for a black audience, a lot of this was in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
which seemed to be the kind of like central Hollywood of the black movie industry at the time.
I think we mentioned this on another episode, but there was kind of Jacksonville, Florida almost became like the United States movie hub. Like after
Right.
the sort of like flight from New Jersey and sort of looking at warmer climates with like more consistent daylight, right? That was the main reason to go to Hollywood or to go to Florida was the daylight was more consistent because you needed to shoot most stuff in daylight
Hmm.
outside or in like a greenhouse set with a an open roof or glass roof. And there's a really good Vox.com video about Jacksonville specifically and sort of like how it was this like almost like it was like a rival to Hollywood for like a couple of years.
Hmm.
And it almost became its own hub, but it didn't. You know, Hollywood won out for whatever reasons.
We've linked that video before, but we'll link it
Yeah.
again.
So Norman Studios was owned and operated by Richard Norman, who was white, as far as I can tell. Um, but yeah, their like claim to fame, I guess, was that they had entirely black casts. I have no idea what the crews were like, and this is the only one that is watchable. Like all of the rest are lost. Which I guess of all of the ones to survive, I'm glad it's this one because this movie is very fun.
It's a fun one. Yeah.
It is, the poster says the greatest airplane thriller ever filmed, which at this point might be true, but also like there's not a lot of
Come
airplane
on.
stuff in this. It's mostly a train movie. Um,
Yeah, he's called the Flying Ace like because most of the airplane stuff also isn't even the Flying Ace like
right.
involved in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He was a flying ace in World War One, which they
Hmm.
called the Great War at the time because
Yeah.
World War Two had not happened yet.
Naturally.
And I almost like thought when I was watching this movie that they might have said World War One in the intertitles, and I was like, no way, there's no way.
Whoa! Why'd you call it World War One?
What's about to happen?
Yeah. He's a flying ace from the war. Historically, the U.S. Army Air Corps did not allow black pilots because olden times. There was one American who did fly with the Lafayette Escadrille in France, which is like the American league of pilots who flew in World War One before the U.S. entered the war. It's what the movie Flyboys is about.
Right. Yep.
One of the big reasons why this movie was made in the first place is it was inspired by Bessie Coleman, who is the first African American woman and the first Native American to hold a pilot's license. Just crossing off a bunch of firsts as a person. And she was going to like work on this movie. She was gonna like, I guess, not necessarily act in it, but like do the flying for it and things like that. And she died in an air accident. Like I think a couple of weeks before shooting.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy. So some historical context for this movie, which, yeah, like you said, is for all of its advertisement as like the Flying Ace. It's an airplane movie. Most of it is about a guy on the ground solving railroad crimes.
Specifically, there was a payroll shipment for was it this train company?
I believe so, yeah.
So like someone was carrying $25,000 along the train along the rail line and waiting with the station master, and then suddenly the station master loses consciousness and the money's gone. What happened? So the railroad head honcho hears about this and then sends in the Flying Ace to investigate the situation, along with his sidekick, his Peg,
his one-legged sidekick, who has the coolest like one-legged gadget. He has like a crutch that's also a gun. Very cool. To briefly go back to the World War One thing, it is referred to in the intertitle as the World War, which I don't think I've ever seen written out like that, where it's like, there's no numeral, but it's just, the World War. One that we've had.
The World War.
Yeah. The way that the mystery of this movie is constructed is kind of interesting in that it relies a lot on like flashback. Like we see like the result of the crime, but then we kind of like flashback to see what really happened later.
Yeah.
As like the detective is figuring it out.
Yeah.
Which is a very cool way of structuring like detective movie that I don't know if we've seen before, but it's just like this is a pretty solid detective movie.
Yeah. Yeah. After I got over my disappointment at no air combat,
right. There is a big airplane chase at the end.
True. Yes.
Which there's a certain point of the movie feels like it's wrapping up and there hasn't been an airplane chase, and I'm like, hang on. Like, what's going on? There needs to be an airplane chase. And there is, thankfully. It doesn't do everything I wanted it to. Or
it's not shot very interestingly.
Well, also because they only had one airplane. So the two airplanes in the chase are actually the same airplane, that they're trying to look like different airplanes.
And yeah, they just show it on the ground with some wind blowing over them and a background that looks like it might be a sky.
Mm-hmm. There's like references to bootlegging, which is, very topical for when this came out. Someone gets kidnapped and hid in the tail of an airplane in the like secret booze compartment. The sort of female lead named Ruth is I guess sort of involved with one of the criminals, who is the other pilot besides the Flying Ace of the title. And he's sort of like teaching her how to fly in the beginning of the movie. He's like, I'll take you up on my plane, I'll show you how to fly.
There's like an extended sequence of this is how an airplane works.
Right. Which I'm guessing is mostly for the audience.
Maybe, yeah.
What I wanted to happen that did not happen was that Ruth would like be in an airplane, the pilot would get knocked out, and she would have to fly the plane. That never happens. And that's my biggest knock against this movie. She never actually gets to fly the plane, despite being taught how in the early section.
That would happen in the Miyazaki version of this.
Yes.
Because he loves spunky girls who fly airplanes.
Yes. That is the most Miyazaki thing possible, is a spunky girl who flies an airplane. This also is like, there is a lot of I guess like crime plotty stuff of like the Flying Ace detective who works for the railroad, going around and like questioning people and like figuring out what the crime was, and like
And
who's
there's some various red
involved.
herrings.
There's a couple red herrings. There's a couple boxing matches. There's the aforementioned gun crutch and like one-legged bicycle chase where his sidekick, who's an actual amputee, is riding a bicycle with one leg and his crutch,
Yeah.
and then also using his crutch as a gun to chase after the criminals.
There's also like a really hilarious like moment where Peg just like pulls an incredibly long gun out of his pants.
Yeah.
The movie is not that funny. It's just like a plain, like detective movie. But then there's just this one moment where he is pulling out a gun and it is like 7 times longer than you expect it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of this movie. This movie feels intentionally pretty light. Like, it's not trying to be super dramatic. Not
It's
like
a fun time.
Yeah. Some stuff is funny just because of how old-timey it is. Like, when there's about to be a fist fight and someone says, "Give him the hocus pocus." Cool movie.
Yeah, there's some great. Speaking of like kind of old-timey isms, this movie, I think is unique in a lot of other like race relative to a lot of other race movies that we've seen, quote unquote, in that the dialogue is not generally, it happens a couple times, but like not, I think, in a mocking way. Like the dialogue is not written in this sort of like broken English way.
It's not nearly as, it is definitely, there's a noticeable difference in the way that the intertitles are written that feels a bit more kind of colloquial, but it is not this like super
not like,
caricatured, like really
like vernacular African American vernacular in English. Like it seems like not disrespectful like that other stuff is,
because a lot of dialogue in intertitles is written in like, there's like abbreviations and things like that. I mean, outside of this, like in Buster Keaton movies and Chaplin movies, like the dialogue is usually trying to match a certain type of spoken English anyway.
Yeah.
But and this feels like that, as opposed to this like really like uncomfortably caricatured stuff from like the what was that other production company that we watched a couple shorts from?
Was it Ebony Film?
Yes.
Yeah.
The intertitles in that are like, yikes.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't remember being that thrown off by any of these.
Yeah, they were just kind of fun kind of regionalisms, like have a chaw of tobacco.
I also have that written down as bring up a chaw of tobacco.
And then at one point someone says, "Vamoose, you varmint," which I love.
You know how people talked in the 20s.